Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist, and today I'm going to be doing an X-Saber deck profile. Now this is actually an updated version of a deck that I did I believe it was 8 months ago, and you guys have really been requesting me to do an updated version of it, and I have actually made some really interesting edits to this deck. So without further ado guys, let's get straight on this. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Tell me what you think of this deck profile down in the comments down below, and let's get to summoning some X-Sabers. So, and don't forget to hit the bell right there so you can become part of the notification squad. So, we're going to be playing in this deck. This deck is a really old school deck that's really fun. All the way back in 5Ds is when it came out, and it's still fun to play. But we're going to be playing 3 copies of double X-Saber, Fault Troll. Basically, this card cannot be normal summoned or set, and it cannot be special summoned except while you control 2 or more X-Saber monsters. So you just get to instantly special summon this card to your side of the field if you control 2 X-Saber monsters, which is really awesome. And it also has the ability that once per turn you can special summon 1 level 4 or lower X-Saber monster from your graveyard. And that is not a hard once per turn on 1 Fall Troll. You can special summon 3 Fall Trolls and get 3 special summons, which is really nuts about that card. It's a really good card, and you have to play it at 3. Like, it's just too good. Then I play 3 copies of double X-Saber Bogard Knight, or Boggart Knight. When this card is normal summoned, you can special summon 1 level 4 or lower X-Saber monster from your hand, and it cannot be used as synchro material except for the synchro summon of an X-Saber synchro monster. So that's not that big of a deal in this instance, but it cannot be used for the synchro summon except for the X-Saber monster. I mean, it's not really that big of a deal because we have so many other cards that we're going to use to synchro summon, but usually we're going for double X-Saber Gothams anyways. So it's not that big of a deal. But the special summon of the additional monster is really important, but you can link with it, which is important too. So then we play 3 copies of single X-Saber or X-Saber or Arbellum. Basically, it's just a tuner, level 3 tuner monster. And if it inflicts damage to your opponent by a direct attack, you can discard a random card from your opponent's hand. That's a really important effect, and it really helps out because this deck is basically just about ripping cards out of your opponent's hand to just establish so much of a advantage against your opponent that they can't recover. So then we play 3 copies of double X-Saber Dark Soul. No, not Dark Souls the game, but Dark Soul X-Saber. During your end phase, if this card was sent to your graveyard from the field to the grave, you can add an X-Saber monster from your deck to your hand. Now, does that sound familiar? This is actually the original Skarm Burning Malebranche of the Burning Abyss. This is the original one. This is the first card that actually had this ability, which is kind of interesting if you guys don't know your Yu-Gi-Oh history. Because X-Saber Dark Soul, they were having too many problems with cards getting searched out of the deck, and they wanted to give this card a little bit of a restriction, if you will. So you can't just send it to grave, attack a new opponent's monster, search, and then during your main phase 2, go into Gothams easily, and search Fall Troll, and go into so many different plays. So they gave it that little bit of a restriction, so you couldn't make all those crazy plays. But it's really important to be able to search Fall Troll in the end phase, so next turn you can go into so many different plays. But just a cool little trivia. So then we play 3 copies of double X-Saber Rag, as I call him, or Rag and Gora, but I just call him Rag. When this card is normal summon, you can special summon 1, or normal special summon, you can add a X-Saber monster from your graveyard to your hand. Now, the card that I usually add from my graveyard to hand is Fall Troll if I've used it to synchro summon, or if they get rid of one of my Gothams, I search my Gotham, or sometimes I'll even search, or I'll get back my Bogard Knight to just do all sorts of stuff. The cool thing about Bogard Knight, if you guys didn't notice, I pointed this out in my last deck profile, but he looks exactly like a retrained version of Vorse Raider. If you guys have watched the original series, which most of you guys who are here watching my deck profile, I'm sure you have. But he looks just like Kaiba's Vorse Raider from the original series, if you look at him close. So then for the next 3 cards, we play 3 copies of Rescue Cat. Rescue Cat just lets us special summon out level 3 or lower monsters that are from our deck that are beast type. Usually we're going to summon out our Dark Souls or our Bellum really easily from this deck to just be able to overlay, or not really overlay because we don't have Invoker anymore, but you special summon it to just synchro summon and be able to go into so many different plays. And by using this, you can go into Fall Troll really easily, which you special summon Urbellum and Dark Soul. You can synchro the Urbellum away to summon the Urbellum and the Fall Troll together to summon out Gothams, and then you can start ripping cards out of your opponent's hand, which is really cool. Then we play 3 copies of Summoner Monk because you need the 3 copies of Summoner Monk to be able to special summon out like Rescue Cat and stuff like that, to be able to do all sorts of different nutsy plays. And we play a lot of spells in this deck, so it's not that big of a deal to discard a spell card. And then for the last card, I play 1 copy of Mythical Beast of the Forest. Basically, use this as a level 2 tuner to be able to special summon it from your deck to go for Nat Beast extremely easily. With something like Dark Soul, you can go in for those two and summon Nat Beast extremely easily if your opponent's playing something that's like Spell Heavy or something like that. And it's just extremely easy to go into. And so we play 1 copy of the Mystical Beast of the Forest. So that's it for the... And also, quick note. With Mystical Beast of the Forest and your Urbella or your Voltron, you can synchro these together to make Borreload Savage Dragon to get negations on your side of the field after you've ripped all the cards out of your opponent's hand, which is hilarious to do, by the way. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So this deck is actually pretty explosive when it goes off. And it goes off pretty easily with my build that I've made. So let me play 3 copies of Instant Fusion. You have to play 3 copies of Instant Fusion in this deck, unless it goes to like 1, 2. I don't think it will. But you have to play the 3 copies of Instant Fusion to summon the Sea Monster of Thessalos and your Thousand Eyes Restrict to be able to rip cards off your opponent's side of the field. And just to be able to synchro summon for your Gothams a little easier. Because you just summon Bogard Knight, use Instant Fusion, go Bogard Knight plus Thessalos, which is 9, and then you get into your Gothams. Basically, it's a lot of 2-card combos to go into your Gothams and start ripping cards out of your opponent's hand. So we don't want to get, while we're, grabbing cards out of our opponent's hand and sending them to the graveyard, you want to play 3 copies of Call by the Grave, just so your opponent can't hand trap you while you're going through and Effect Veiler you, or, I hate it when I get Effect Veilered, and I summon Gothams and I get Effect Veilered. I just have to have that Call by the Grave so I can start ripping those cards out of my opponent's hand. 1 Monster Reborn. This is just here to just basically special summon monsters from the grave just so we can continue our Gothams plays. 1 copy of Foolish Burial. This card is here just kind of like to send like Dark Souls or something like that to the graveyard just to get some more plays off. 3 copies of Gotham's Second Call. I play 3 copies of that because you didn't hear him the first time. Now he's going to call you twice. Don't make him tell it. What I say when I say I activate this card up against my opponent, I'm like, don't make me tell you twice. But if this card, if you control an X-Saber Synchro monster, you can target 2 X-Saber monsters in your graveyard and special summon both of those targets, ignoring your summoning conditions, but change their attack to 0. Also destroy them during the end phase, and you can only activate this card once per turn. You cannot conduct a battle phase the turn you activate this card, but we don't care. Because what we're going to do is we're going to have Gothams on the field, activate Gotham's Second Call, and then tribute both monsters that we summon to rip 2 cards out of our opponent's hand. Basically, this card should just say, discard 2 cards out of your opponent's hand, and you cannot conduct your battle phase. Then we play 1 copy of Scapegoats. I still trust the 1 copy of Scapegoats is explosive when we get it off. Then we can special summon 2 Mrs. Radiance to be able to get our Gothams up to 4,100. And then we play 3 copies of Fire Formation Tenki just to add our level 4 or lower Beast Warrior type monsters from our deck to our hand. So that's really important. And that's it for the spells. We do actually play 3 traps in the deck, and I'll show you guys those right now. So for the 3 traps, we're going to play 3 copies of Gotham's Emergency Call, because you got to be called once, get called twice, right? So do you activate this card if there's a face-up X-Saber monster on your field? You can select 2 X-Saber monsters in either player's graveyard and special summon those monsters to your side of the field. So that's really cool. It's actually interesting to have this in a mirror match, and you get special summon your opponent's monsters, but you can activate this during your battle phase, even to special summon additional X-Saber monsters after you know the coast is clear to be able to attack your opponent directly, which is really cool. And you can also use those monsters to, during like turn 3 to start ripping the cards really out of your opponent's hand, which is really important to gain that card advantage. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, guys, we're going to be playing 2 copies of X-Saber Gothams, or double X-Saber Gothams. You need the 2 copies of Gothams because his effect is you contribute 1 X-Saber monster and then discard a random card from your opponent's hand. That's his only effect, and he's 3,100. He's humongous, and he does exactly what he needs to do. That's all you're ever going to do with him, and he does his job perfectly. He's a level 9 synchro monster, so it's really easy to go into him in this deck because you just use Urbellum and Voltron or Instant Fusion, Sea Monster Thessalos, and Bogard Knight. So it's extremely, like I said, extremely easy to go into this card. Only thing that you have to keep in mind is that you have to use a non-tuner or a tuner monster and an earth non-tuner monster, which that's not a big deal. Then we played 1 copy of our misprint X-Saber Shizo, but it's actually misprint because it's like way up top, and I got that out of a Shonen Jump years and years ago. And so I want to play as my one level 7 in the deck, so it's here. I have another level 7 that's interesting in the deck. One copy of X-Saber, the level 6 one. Basically, this pops spells and traps, pops 3 spells and traps on your opponent's side of the field, which is pretty cool. One Borreload, because Borreload Savage Dragon is the best synchro monster in the game right now. You just make this and make negations for days. Crystal Wing, again, really easy to summon. You just have like, summon like, for instance, if you have like an Arbellum on the field, you can go like a Nat Beast and then go into this, or you can even have like a 7 and a 1 or something like that. Like, it's really easy. You don't play any 1s in this deck, but it's super easy to go into this card, so we play it in here. One Cyberse Quantum Dragon. Cyberse Quantum Dragon is a new tech card that I'm playing in this deck. Basically, it works well with synchro monsters, and while you control it works well with link monsters. While you control a link monster, your opponent's monsters cannot declare an attack on attacks except this one. And then also, once per turn, at the end of the damage step, if this card battles an opponent's monster, return that opponent's monster to the hand. And then after this card, and then they can make a second attack in a row, which is really, really cool. I really love that effect about this. It's really easy to use as well. So we play one copy of it. And then we play one copy of Nat Beast. Nat Beast is just kind of here because you can make it really easy to negate spells. And if you realize that your opponent's not doing all that much with the spells, you can use like Arbellum, normal summon Arbellum, and then synchro up into Crystal Wing if you want to. That's an option. The other option is that you can play one copy of Chambara. Sometimes I make Chambara and just attack my opponent twice, and then during the main phase 2, I summon Crystal Wing if I need to. But Chambara is a total option in here. And then we play Boral Sword because it is a good OTK maker. 2 copies of Mrs. Radiant because the whole Earth thing is going on for this deck. 1 copy of Link Rebo because we do play level 1s in this deck and it's extremely easy. Thousand Eyes Restrict just to be able to steal cards off opponent's side of the field off of Instant Fusion. And then Sea Monster if that's Los because it's a super playmaker of the deck. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you enjoyed this deck. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Tell me what you think of this deck down in the comments down below. It's a really, really fun deck to play around with, to be able to summon double X-Saber Gothams and go into a duel and look at your opponent and go, yeah, let's go. You're going to have no hand at the end of my turn. So, yeah. Anyways, guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Don't forget to hit that bell in there so you can become part of the notification squad. And I'll see you guys in the next video. See you around, guys.